The letter sat on my kitchen counter like a loaded gun. Plain white envelope, no return address, just my name written in precise, angular strokes that reminded me of a doctor's prescription. I'd found it under my door an hour ago, and since then, I'd done everything possible to avoid opening it, reorganized my protein powders. Wiped down every surface twice, even alphabetized my spice rack. Hello, wonderful listeners. Quick interaction time, where in the world did this story find you? Comment below. New here? Make it official with a subscribe. Let's get started. My name is Adelaide, and until this moment, I thought I had my life figured out. Successful fitness studio, loving fiance, wedding plans underway. But something about that envelope made my stomach twist. I picked it up, running my finger along the sealed edge. The paper was expensive, thick, the kind Margaret, my future mother-in-law, used for her passive-aggressive thank you notes. But this wasn't from Margaret. The handwriting was too controlled, too deliberate. My phone buzzed. Ryan's face lit up the screen. Hey, babe. Mom wants to know if we're still on for Sunday brunch. Sure, I said, staring at the envelope. Listen, did you send me something today? What do you mean? A letter. Someone slipped it under our door. Silence stretched between us. Then, no, why would I send you a letter when we live together? My fingers trembled as I finally tore open the envelope. The paper inside was the same quality, filled with neat rows of typed text. Addie? You still there? I'll call you back. I hung up before he could protest and started reading. Dear Adelaide Thompson, I believe you deserve to know the truth about your fiancé. Ryan has been seeing someone else for the past 3 months. They meet every Thursday at 2 p.m. at the Riverside Hotel, room 412. The letter continued with details, specific dates, times, even what he wore. My legs gave out, and I sank onto our kitchen stool, the one Ryan had insisted on buying because it matched the granite countertops. My phone buzzed again. Ryan. I let it go to voicemail. The letter ended with, if you don't believe me, check his credit card statements. Look for charges from the hotel's restaurant, the river's edge. You deserve better than lies. It wasn't signed. I pulled up our shared banking app. Ryan and I had merged accounts 6 months ago, another step toward our future together. My hands shook as I scrolled through the transactions. There it was, the river's edge, multiple Thursday charges, always around the same time. No, I whispered to our empty apartment. No, no, no. The front door opened, and Ryan's keys clattered in the dish by the entrance. Addie? Why aren't you answering your phone? I was worried. He stopped when he saw me, his face shifting from concern to confusion. What's wrong? I held up the letter. Want to explain this? He crossed the room, reaching for the paper. I pulled it back. Tell me first. Is it true? Is what true? Addie, you're scaring me. The Riverside Hotel. Room 412. Thursdays at 2 p.m. Ring any bells? The color drained from his face. Not denial. Not confusion. Just guilt, written across every feature I thought I knew by heart. It's not, I can explain. I stood up so quickly the stool crashed behind me. Don't. Just. Don't. Please, let me. Who is she? He ran his hands through his hair, a gesture I used to find endearing. Now it made me want to scream. It's complicated. I laughed, a harsh sound that didn't seem like it could have come from my throat. Complicated? That's what you're going with? Mom was right, he muttered, more to himself than to me. This isn't going to work. Those words hit harder than any confession could have. Your mother? What does Margaret have to do with this? He wouldn't meet my eyes. In that moment, I realized this went deeper than just an affair. Something bigger was at play, something that had Margaret's fingerprints all over it. I grabbed my keys and phone, leaving the letter on the counter between us like a declaration of war. "Where are you going?" he called after me. "To find out the truth," I said, not looking back. "All of it." Margaret's pristine dining room felt like a courtroom, and I was on trial. The china clinked too loudly against the plates as we passed dishes around the Sunday brunch table. 3 days had passed since the letter, and Ryan still hadn't given me a real explanation about the hotel. "Adelaide, dear," Margaret's voice cut through the silence, "I heard your little fitness studio is struggling with the new chain gym opening nearby." I set down my fork. "Actually, we've had record sign-ups this quarter." "Oh?" She raised an eyebrow, cutting her quiche into precise triangles. "How surprising. I always thought people preferred more established businesses." Caleb cleared his throat. "Mom, Addie's studio has amazing reviews. Half my band members train there." "Yes, well, musicians aren't exactly known for their discerning taste, are they?" Margaret smiled, all teeth. "No offense, darling." Ryan stayed silent, pushing food around his plate. The engagement ring on my finger felt heavier with each passing minute. "Speaking of taste," Margaret continued, "I ran into Claire Davidson at the country club yesterday. You remember her, Ryan? She's doing remarkable things with her interior design firm. Very sophisticated clientele." I watched Ryan's shoulders tense. "Mom, please." "What?" "I'm simply making conversation. Claire asked about you, actually. She mentioned running into you recently." My hand froze midway to my water glass. Claire Davidson. Thursday afternoons. Room 412. "Isn't it time we cleared the table?" Caleb stood abruptly, gathering plates. "Sit down, Caleb," Margaret commanded. "We're not finished here." She turned to me, her eyes glittering. "Adelaide, have you given any more thought to what we discussed about postponing the wedding? A long engagement can be so beneficial for really getting to know someone's true nature." "That's enough." I pushed back from the table. "Ryan, a word?" Without waiting for his response, I walked into Margaret's pristine kitchen. The sound of his footsteps behind me was hesitant, guilty. "Claire Davidson?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. "That's who you've been meeting?" "Addie, it's not." "If you say it's not what you think one more time, I swear." "She's helping with a project," he interrupted. "A surprise. For the wedding." I laughed, the sound sharp enough to make him flinch. "Right. In a hotel room. On Thursday afternoons. Everything okay, in here?" Caleb appeared in the doorway, his expression concerned. "Mom's working herself up to one of her speeches about family values." "Stay out of this, Caleb," Ryan snapped. "No," I said, "let him stay. Someone in this family should witness what honesty looks like." I turned back to Ryan. "Claire Davidson. The same Claire your mother tried to set you up with 3 years ago? The one she called the perfect addition to the Mitchell family?" "You're twisting everything," Ryan protested. "Mom has nothing to do with." "Oh, please." I yanked off my engagement ring. "Your mother has everything to do with everything. She probably picked out the hotel herself." The ring clattered on the marble counter. Behind us, Margaret's heels clicked on the hard wood. "Is everything all right?" I heard raised voices. "Perfectly fine," I said, turning to face her. "We were just discussing your interior design consultation services." Margaret's face remained smooth, but something flickered in her eyes. "I'm sure I don't know what you mean. Room 412 ring any bells? Or should I ask Claire?" "Adelaide," Ryan grabbed my arm. "Stop this." I jerked away from him. "Your mother's been orchestrating this whole thing, hasn't she? The meetings, the letter." "What letter?" Caleb asked. Margaret's composure cracked, just slightly. "Ryan, perhaps it's time Adelaide went home. She's clearly upset." "I'm leaving," I announced, "but first, let me be clear, whatever game you're playing, Margaret, I'm going to figure it out." And when I do, you'll wish you'd never started this. Is that a threat? Margaret's voice turned ice cold. No, I smiled, channeling her earlier sweetness. Just a promise between family members. Isn't that what you always wanted? I walked out, leaving the ring behind. As I reached my car, Caleb caught up with me. Addie, wait. What letter were you talking about? I studied his face, searching for any sign of deception. Why don't you ask your mother? I'm sure she has a perfectly reasonable explanation for everything. You know she's not going to stop, right? Neither am I replied, starting my car. Neither am I. Sam's laptop screen glowed in the darkness of my living room, illuminating strings of text messages I shouldn't have been reading. But desperate times called for desperate measures, and my best friend's tech skills had finally cracked Margaret's password-protected cloud storage. Jesus, Sam whispered, scrolling through the messages. Your mother-in-law-to-be is something else. The timestamps went back months. Margaret to an unknown number, Claire's perfect for this. She still carries a torch for Ryan, and she knows how to be discreet. My fingers dug into the couch cushions. Another message, Adelaide's too common for our family. Ryan needs someone who understands our world. Once he sees what he's missing. Keep going, I said, even as my stomach churned. Sam clicked through more messages. Here's something from last week, the letter should arrive today. Once she finds out about the hotel meetings, everything will fall into place. The room spun. I'd suspected Margaret's involvement, but seeing it laid out so coldly made me physically ill. There's more, Sam said. Something about Margaret's sister? Elizabeth? My phone buzzed, Caleb calling. I ignored it. Wait, Sam straightened. Holy shit. Look at this email draft. The screen showed an unsent message to Elizabeth. You destroyed my marriage with your lies 25 years ago. Now you're trying to poison Ryan against me through that girl? I won't let another gold digger tear apart my family. I need to confront her, I said, standing. Addie, it's midnight. Perfect timing. I grabbed my keys. The truth comes out in the dark, right? Sam caught my arm. At least let me drive. You're shaking. 20 minutes later, we pulled up to Margaret's Victorian mansion. Lights blazed from the first floor windows, she was still awake. Want me to come with? Sam asked. No. This needs to be between us. Margaret opened the door before I could knock, wearing a silk robe like she'd been expecting company. Adelaide? What an unexpected surprise. Cut the act. I pushed past her into the foyer. I know about the letter. The hotel meetings. Claire. All of it. She closed the door with deliberate slowness. I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Should we call your sister Elizabeth and ask her opinion? Margaret's composure cracked. Fear flashed across her face before being replaced by cold fury. You've been going through my private correspondence? Like you went through my life? Orchestrating meetings between Ryan and Claire? Trying to destroy my relationship? I was protecting my son. From what? Love? Happiness? From making the same mistake his father made. Her voice echoed off the high ceilings. Marrying beneath him, letting some woman destroy everything we built. Mom? We both turned. Ryan stood in the doorway to the study, papers scattered at his feet. Behind him, Caleb looked like he might be sick. How long have you been there? Margaret's voice trembled. Long enough, Ryan said. The letter. The hotel meetings. That was all you? I did it for you. Margaret stepped toward him. Claire comes from our world. She understands. Stop. Ryan's face had gone ash white. Just stop. I watched them, mother and son, standing in the wreckage of their carefully constructed lies. Part of me wanted to savor Margaret's exposure, but another part recognized something broken in her eyes, something that mirrored my own pain. Your sister, I said quietly. Elizabeth. What did she really do? Margaret's shoulders sagged. She told my husband the truth, that I came from nothing. That my family's wealth, our social standing. It was all fabricated. He left me for someone from his own circle. She laughed bitterly. Someone more suitable. So you decided to do the same thing to me? Make history repeat itself? I decided to protect my son from what I went through. By becoming exactly what destroyed you. I shook my head. Congratulations, Margaret. You've become the very thing you hated. I turned to leave, but Ryan caught my hand. Addie, wait. Please. No, I pulled away. Your mother didn't force you to meet Claire. Didn't make you lie to me. That was all you. The truth hung between us like shattered glass, beautiful, dangerous, and impossible to put back together. The box of Ryan's belongings sat by our front door, 3 years of life together reduced to photo frames and forgotten t-shirts. He stood in our living room, keys dangling from his fingers, while I methodically removed every trace of him from our shared apartment. I need time, he said, watching me delete his profile from our Netflix account. To figure things out. Figure what out exactly? I kept my eyes on the screen. Whether you prefer your mother's choice of wife over me? That's not fair. Neither is meeting Claire behind my back. He sighed, that familiar sound of frustration I'd heard so often lately. Nothing happened with Claire. Because you chose not to, or because you hadn't gotten around to it yet? The silence that followed was answer enough. My phone buzzed, Caleb calling again. Third time today. I declined the call. Addie, Ryan stepped closer. Mom was wrong about everything, but she was right about one thing. We rushed into this engagement. I finally looked at him. Rushed? We've been together 3 years. And in those 3 years, have you ever really tried to understand my family's expectations? The laugh that escaped me was hollow. You mean your mother's expectations? The same mother who fabricated her entire background to trap your father? Don't talk about her like that. Why not? It's the truth. Or does that make you uncomfortable, knowing you're just like her, living a lie? He flinched. I never lied about loving you. No, you just lied about everything else. I pulled off the necklace he'd given me for our 2nd anniversary. Here. Give it to Claire. I'm sure she'll appreciate the family heirloom more than this common girl. Stop it. He grabbed my wrist, gentle but firm. This isn't you. You're better than petty jabs. I jerked away. Maybe I'm tired of being better. Maybe I'm tired of being the bigger person while your mother schemes and you. You just let it happen. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text from Caleb, need to talk. It's about Mom and Claire. Important. Take your things, I said, turning away from Ryan. I'll have the rest shipped to your mother's house. I'm not moving in with Mom. No? Then where are you going? He hesitated. Claire offered her guest room. The words hit like a physical blow. Get out. Addie. Get out. The vase of flowers he'd brought last week, a guilty peace offering, shattered against the wall inches from his head. We both stood frozen, watching water drip down the wallpaper. I never meant to hurt you, he whispered. Funny how that keeps happening anyway. After he left, I sank to the floor among the scattered roses and broken glass. My phone buzzed again, Caleb. What? I answered, too tired for politeness. Claire's pregnant. The world tilted sideways. What? 3 months along. Mom's been helping her hide it while they figured out how to handle OU. His voice cracked. I'm so sorry, Addie. I just found out. 3 months. The same time the hotel meeting started. Does Ryan know? Mom's telling him tonight. I couldn't let you be blindsided again. I ended the call without responding. 3 months. While I'd been planning our wedding, picking out color schemes, Ryan had been. My mother answered on the first ring. Adelaide? Can I come stay with you for a while? Of course, sweetheart. What's wrong? Everything. I looked around our apartment, my apartment now, at all the carefully constructed pieces of a future that never existed. But I think that's about to change. I packed a bag, leaving the engagement ring on the counter next to the broken vase. Let Ryan clean up this mess. I was done being the one who always picked up the pieces. As I drove away, another text came through from Caleb. Whatever you're planning, I want to help. Mom and Ryan need to face what they've done. I smiled for the first time in days. Maybe it was time to stop being the bigger person. Maybe it was time to show the Mitchells exactly what this common girl could do. The pregnancy test lay face down on my mother's bathroom counter, a 5-minute timer ticking away on my phone. 2 weeks since I'd left Ryan, since Claire's pregnancy bombshell, and now this, the universe's cruel joke. Mom knocked softly. Adelaide? Do you want me to come in? Not yet. My voice sounded strange, distant. Like it belonged to someone else. The timer beeped. I flipped the test over, staring at the 2 pink lines that would change everything. Again. When I opened the door, Mom took one look at my face and pulled me into her arms. No questions, no platitudes. Just the familiar scent of her perfume and the steady beat of her heart against my cheek. What am I going to do? I whispered. Whatever you decide, you won't do it alone. My phone buzzed. Caleb. He'd been feeding me information about Ryan and Claire's situation, each update twisting the knife deeper. I ignored the call. I can't tell him, I said. Not after everything. Mom guided me to the kitchen, putting on the kettle, her solution to every crisis. Because you're afraid of what he'll do, or what Margaret will do. Both. Neither. I pressed my hands against my temples. Claire's already giving them the perfect Mitchell air. What's Margaret going to do when she finds out there's another baby? One from the wrong side of the tracks? This isn't about Margaret. Everything is about Margaret. The words exploded out of me. She orchestrated all of this, the letter, Claire, the hotel meetings. And now you're carrying her grandchild. The kettle whistled, its scream matching the chaos in my head. My phone buzzed again, this time a text from Sam. Ryan's at your apartment. Looking for you. I need to go, I stood abruptly. I left something important at the apartment. Mom caught my arm. Adelaide, don't do anything rash. I'm just getting some papers. No, you're going to confront him. I know that look. I pulled away. He deserves to know what he's chosen. What he's losing. The drive to my apartment felt like moving through fog. Ryan's car sat in the parking lot, next to a familiar Mercedes, Margaret's. Of course she was here. I found them in my living room, Margaret directing movers while Ryan packed boxes. Well, this is cozy, I said from the doorway. They both spun around. Ryan looked terrible, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes. Margaret, naturally, was immaculate. Adelaide, she stepped forward, all concern and false warmth. We tried calling. Save it. I moved past her to my desk, pulling out the folder I'd come for. Just get your things and go. Addie, please, Ryan's voice cracked. Can we talk? About what? Claire's pregnancy? Or how your mother manipulated everything? Margaret's mask slipped. That's hardly fair. Fair? I laughed, the sound brittle. Like it was fair to send that letter? To orchestrate meetings between Ryan and Claire? I did what was necessary for my family. Your family? My hand instinctively moved to my stomach before I caught myself. You destroyed your family. And for what? So Claire could give you a socially acceptable grandchild? Ryan went pale. What are you talking about? The words rose in my throat. I'm pregnant too. Your mother's getting 2 grandchildren, not just one. But looking at them, standing there among the ruins of our life together, I swallowed them back. Nothing, I said finally. It doesn't matter anymore. I grabbed my folder and turned to leave, but Margaret's voice stopped me. I know you're pregnant, Adelaide. The world tilted. I turned slowly. What? She smiled, that practiced society smile that never reached her eyes. I have friends at every medical office in town. Did you really think you could keep it secret? Ryan staggered back like he'd been hit. You are. We are. Congratulations, Margaret said smoothly. Now we can discuss how to handle this situation properly. For everyone's sake. In that moment, looking at her calculated expression, I finally understood. This wasn't just about control or social status. This was about power, the power to shape lives, to determine futures. And she just played her last card. I smiled back, matching her tone exactly. You're right, Margaret. Let's discuss how to handle this. All of it. The Mitchell family's private dining room felt like a courtroom, with Margaret presiding from the head of the table. Ryan sat to her right, Claire to her left, while Caleb hovered near the window, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. I remained standing, my hands pressed flat against the polished mahogany to keep them from shaking. Well, Margaret smiled, shall we discuss the arrangements? Arrangements? My voice stayed steady, surprising even me. For both children, of course. The Mitchell heirs should be raised together, don't you think? We have plenty of room here at the estate. Ryan's head snapped up. Mother. It's the only sensible solution, Margaret continued. Claire's already agreed to move in. Haven't you, dear? Claire nodded, one hand protectively over her stomach. She wouldn't meet my eyes. And what makes you think I'd agree to that? I asked. Margaret's smile tightened. Because you want what's best for your child. A proper upbringing, the right connections, the Mitchell name. Like you had? The words sliced through the air. Or wait, that was all fabricated, wasn't it? Adelaide, Ryan warned. No, let's talk about it. About how Margaret invented her whole background to trap your father. About how she's doing the same thing now, orchestrating this whole situation. That's enough. Margaret's mask cracked. You want to talk about traps? What do you call getting pregnant just as Ryan was finally seeing sense? Mom. Caleb stepped forward, but Margaret waved him off. We all know what this is, a desperate attempt to hold on to a family you were never meant to be part of. I laughed, the sound sharp and foreign. You think I want to be part of this family? After everything you've done? What I've done is protect my sons from making their father's mistake. By pushing Ryan into Claire's arms? By having her get pregnant first? The room went silent. Claire's face drained of color. What did you say? Ryan stood slowly. Ask your mother about the fertility clinic appointments she arranged for Claire. Ask her about the timing, how convenient it was that Claire got pregnant just as you were starting to question your mother's influence. That's ridiculous, Margaret snapped, but her eyes darted to Claire. Is it? I pulled out my phone, playing the voicemail I'd been saving. Claire's voice filled the room. Margaret, the doctor confirmed it. 3 months, just like you planned. Ryan won't be able to walk away now. The recording ended. Claire burst into tears. Ryan looked like he might be sick. You planned this, he whispered to his mother. All of it? Margaret's composure crumbled. I did what was necessary. That girl would have ruined you, just like my father was ruined? Ryan's voice rose. By marrying beneath him? By loving someone you didn't approve of? By being deceived? Margaret stood, her chair scraping back. And now you're doing the same thing. Adelaide's no different from me, lying, manipulating, using a baby to trap you. The difference is, I said quietly, I don't want your son. Or your name. Or anything else from this toxic family. Then what do you want? Margaret demanded. For my child to never know what it feels like to be a pawn in someone else's game. I turned to Ryan. I'm leaving town. Starting fresh somewhere else. You can tell everyone whatever story makes you look best. Addie, please, as Ryan reached for me. I stepped back. Your mother won't stop. She'll always see me as our child, as a threat to her perfect world. And you'll always be caught between us, just like you are with Claire. I'll fix this, he pleaded. You can't. Because you're just like her, so afraid of losing control that you'll destroy anything real to maintain the illusion. I walked out, leaving them with their perfectly arranged lives and carefully constructed lies. In the driveway, Caleb caught up with me. What you said about leaving town. I meant it. He nodded. Take me with you. I stared at him, seeing the same desperate need for escape in his eyes that I felt in my soul. Behind us, raised voices spilled from the house, the sound of a family imploding under the weight of its own deceptions. Okay, I said. Let's go. The envelope arrived 3 days after Caleb and I left town. No return address, just my name in that same precise handwriting as the first letter. Inside was a single photograph, Margaret, decades younger, standing beside another woman who could have been her twin. Elizabeth, Caleb said, looking over my shoulder. Mom's sister. I haven't seen her since I was a kid. We sat in my mother's vacation cottage, boxes still unpacked around us. The photo trembled in my hands. Why would she send this now? My phone rang, an unknown number. I answered on speaker. Hello, Adelaide. The voice was eerily similar to Margaret's, but softer. I believe it's time we met. An hour later, we sat across from Elizabeth Mitchell in a quiet cafe. She looked like Margaret's ghost, same aristocratic features, but worn by time and hardship instead of preserved by privilege. I sent the first letter, she said without preamble. About Ryan and Claire. Caleb's coffee cup clattered against its saucer. What? I've watched Margaret destroy lives for 30 years. When I heard about you, Adelaide, I knew she'd do it again. So you decided to destroy my life instead? The words tasted bitter. I decided to give you a choice, something Margaret never gave me. Elizabeth's fingers traced the photo's edge. She didn't just steal my fiance, you know. She stole my entire life. My identity. Used it to create her perfect society marriage. That's impossible, Caleb whispered. Is it? Ask yourself why there are no family photos before your parents' wedding. Why Margaret never talks about her childhood. She took everything, my background, my connections, even my name. Elizabeth Margaret Mitchell became just Margaret Mitchell, while I became no one. My hand instinctively moved to my stomach. Why tell us now? Because history's repeating itself. Margaret orchestrating Claire's pregnancy, pushing Ryan to choose the right path. She's still trying to control the narrative, create her perfect family story. At what cost? Caleb's voice cracked. That's what I wanted Adelaide to see. Before it was too late. My phone buzzed, Ryan calling. Again. He's been trying to reach you, Caleb said quietly. I know. Elizabeth leaned forward. Margaret will never stop. She'll use both babies to maintain her control. Unless. Unless what? Unless you do what I never could. Tell the truth. All of it. The phone buzzed again. This time, a text from Sam. Ryan's here at the studio looking for you. Says it's about Margaret. I have to go back, I said, standing. Addie, no, Caleb started. Not to stay. To finish this. For all of us. I looked at Elizabeth. Will you help? She smiled, a real smile, nothing like Margaret's practiced version. I've waited 30 years to tell my story. The drive back felt like moving through a dream. We found Ryan at my studio, looking haunted. "Mom's in the hospital," he said when he saw us. She tried to. "Is she okay?" Caleb asked. "Physically, yes. But she keeps asking for you, Addie." "And Elizabeth?" Elizabeth stepped out from behind me. Ryan stumbled back. "Hello, nephew," she said softly. "I don't understand." "You will." I moved past him to unlock the studio. "Call Margaret's doctor. Tell her to expect visitors. It's time for a family reunion." "Adelaide," Ryan caught my arm. "I left Claire. After what Mom did. I couldn't. This isn't about us anymore," I pulled away gently. "It's about breaking a cycle. For all our children." In the fading light, I watched Ryan make the call, saw Caleb embrace his aunt, felt my baby move for the first time. Small moments of truth breaking through decades of lies. "Ready?" Elizabeth asked. I nodded, thinking of Margaret in her hospital bed, finally forced to face the ghosts of her past. "Ready?" Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying someone. Sometimes it's about forcing them to see their own reflection, unfiltered by the lies they've built their life upon. Margaret's hospital room felt smaller than it should have, crowded with the weight of decades of lies. She lay propped against white pillows, her perfect facade cracked by exhaustion and something that looked almost like fear. Elizabeth. The name escaped her lips like a ghost. "Hello, Margaret. Or should I say, little sister?" I stayed by the door while Elizabeth approached the bed, the truth stretched between them like a tightrope. Ryan and Caleb flanked their mother, watching this stranger who wore her face. "You had no right," Margaret whispered. "To what?" "My own life? The one you stole? I made something of it. Something better than you ever could." Elizabeth pulled out the old photograph. "Better? You built an empire on lies, Margaret. And now it's crumbling, just like mine did 30 years ago." Margaret's hands trembled. "I protected my family." "No," I stepped forward. "You controlled them. There's a difference." "Adelaide," Ryan reached for me, but I shook my head. "I'm not here for reconciliation. I'm here so your children can understand why their mother would rather destroy their happiness than lose her grip on the narrative." "They don't need to know," Margaret started. "We already do," Caleb interrupted. "About Claire, about Elizabeth, about everything." "It's over, Mom." Margaret's composure shattered. "I did it for you. Both of you. I gave you the life I never had. You gave us lies," Ryan's voice cracked. "And now there are 2 children who'll pay the price. Unless we break the cycle," I said, touching my stomach. "Right here. Right now." Elizabeth placed the photograph on Margaret's bed. "Tell them the truth, Margaret. All of it. Or I will." The silence stretched, filled with the beeping of hospital monitors and the weight of unspoken confessions. Finally, Margaret spoke, her voice small. "I was nobody. Elizabeth was everything, beautiful, sophisticated, engaged to the perfect man. I needed. To be me," Elizabeth finished. "To be better than you." The truth spilled out, how Margaret had stolen her sister's identity while Elizabeth was traveling abroad. How she'd stepped into her life so seamlessly that even their parents couldn't prove otherwise. How she'd married Elizabeth's fiance, built her perfect world on a foundation of carefully constructed lies. "And now?" I asked when she finished. "What happens to your perfect world?" Margaret looked at her sons, then at me. "You'll tell everyone." "No," Elizabeth said. "You will. Because if you don't, if you try to maintain this facade, you'll lose them anyway. Look what it's already cost you." Ryan moved to the window, his shoulders tight. "Claire lost the baby. The stress." My heart clenched, not for the loss of Margaret's planned perfection, but for the innocent life caught in her web of manipulation. "I'm leaving town," I announced. Not running away, but moving forward. My child deserves a fresh start, away from all this. Our child, Ryan said quietly. No. My child. Who will know the truth about everything, their history, their family, their worth, without it being filtered through someone else's expectations. Caleb stepped forward. I'm still coming with you. Margaret made a small, broken sound. Not to escape, he told her. But to help build something real. Something honest. I looked at Elizabeth, who nodded slightly. We'd given Margaret her moment of reckoning. Now it was time to leave her with the consequences of her choices. At the door, I turned back one last time. The irony is, Margaret, if you'd just been yourself, told the truth from the beginning, you might have had everything you wanted anyway. Real love. Real family. Real respect. How can you be so sure, she whispered. Because I'm choosing truth over perfection. And I've never felt stronger. We left Margaret with Elizabeth, two sisters separated by decades of lies, finally facing their shared reflection. Ryan followed us into the hallway. Addie, please. Goodbye, Ryan. Break the cycle your own way. I'll break it mine. Outside, the morning sun painted everything in new light. Caleb loaded our bags while I looked back at the hospital one last time, thinking about cycles of revenge and redemption. About the difference between running away and walking forward. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't in destroying someone's perfect lie, but in living your own perfect truth.